We're back. All right, diving right in. Web stuff, SEO stuff, content-based stuff. I got a lot of stuff on my mind that I can do with that. So we're just going to dive into it and just see where the heck this one goes. We're going to do a little three, two. Well, hello and welcome back. We are continuing our season of building better businesses, but actually we are building better developers. We're developing more because that is our focus, is where developers and entrepreneurs meet right here at this podcast, hopefully. So if this is what you were looking for, you're here, you found it. And if it's not, you found it anyways. You also found myself. I'm Rob Broadhead. I'm one of the founders of, too much finding in that, one of the founders of Developreneur and Building Better Developers. Also, a founder of RB Consulting, where we help you just like wrangle that technology sprawl that's out there. We work with you to understand your business, craft a recipe for success for you that is how you leverage the technology you have, the technology that is going to help your business, including whether that technology is something you buy off the shelf, through innovation, integration, simplification, automation, all these different ways that we can make technology work for us. And also maybe even build out a team that will help you build technology moving forward. All of those things we can do for you, helping you leverage this biggest investment, which is your investment in technology. And practically every business now has to do that. Good thing, bad thing. There are so many of these like right now. So good thing, bad. This is an interesting good thing, bad thing. So this would be an educational thing for people, I think. Several years ago when I bought my house, because the prior house I had practically slid down the hill that it was on, we ended up having to go, like they had to dig 30 or 40 feet deep with these steel girders basically to hold the house up. And no, this was not built on a hill like you see in California or something. This was just in like a smaller hill. However, the house was starting to settle. And so when we sold it, we had to do a lot of work to like jack that sucker back up. So when I got to my current house, one of the first things I did was make sure that everything was copacetic. And it was, however, there were a couple of things where like, well, you could do this better and you could do that better. So I did. So we like jacked up the house a little bit better, straightened everything else, and like made sure that it was rock solid. We're not on sand. We are on like solid ground. And did a bunch of other things like here in Nashville, every house has dampness problems, like crawl spaces and basements just weep all the time. It's just what happens in the earth around here. So we made sure that we had stuff built in to, clean some of that out so that you don't get too humid and you don't have all the issues that water can and the air can do, which is a good thing. Made it a really nice house. The bad thing is now that it's on the market and when it's being sold, people see that and they're like, oh, there must be something wrong because you wouldn't have done that unless there was a problem. And so we have to explain, no, there wasn't. So a classic, I'm just trying to do the right thing. And yet still somebody is like, I don't trust you're doing the right thing. I think you're just trying to fix a problem. Maybe that's it. Like right now, I'm going to fix the problem that I have talked and have not had Michael introduce himself. So go for it.
Hey everyone, my name is Michael Meloche. I'm one of the co-founders of Developreneur, Building Better Developers. I'm also the founder of Envision QA, where we work with small to mid-sized businesses who are struggling with their software, struggling with their technology stack. Essentially, they have software that does not work for them. They've had to implement processes to essentially do things around their software that their software doesn't do, which takes more time, energy, and money. So we walk in, we come in, we do an assessment, we help you identify those pain points, we define your processes, and through a test-driven development approach and mindset, we walk through all your user stories and we come up with a plan to either upgrade your current technology stack or build you something cohesive that will basically do everything for you in one application instead of multi-tier. Let's see, good thing, bad thing. Good thing, well, we'll start with the bad thing. So the bad thing is we got a boatload of rain last week. A lot of rain. So much so that I had rivers flowing all over my property where rivers should not flow. The good thing about that, though, was a month before all this weather hit, out of the blue, the guy who resurfaced our driveway years ago came by and was like, hey, I haven't seen you in a while. would you like me to resurface your driveway? We're like, how much? And it was gave us a pretty good price. It's like, sure. Came in, surfaced it, and if he had not done that, we probably would be replacing the driveway right now. So karma is a funny thing.
Timing matters quite a bit. This episode is not really about timing, although it sort of is. We're going to talk about like digital marketing kinds of stuff. And this is the timing thing of this is that these are the things that are actually hopefully evergreen, that they are great for hitting a customer when they want to find you. So they're 24/7 kinds of things. These are the things like your website. If somebody searches for your website at midnight on Saturday while you're out partying, that's okay. You've actually been marketing during that time. That's the time they want to see you. That's the time they want to learn about you. Then that's the time that you want to be available for them. Now, that's the thing about these marketing approaches. I'm not going to get deep into like you can talk about SEO and some of those kinds of things and how you hit the right people at the right time and play the Google game and all that. That's not really where I want to go with this. Because it comes back to yes, you want the eyeballs. But before you get the eyeballs, you better have a good, consistent message. It's like, what? Okay, now you have their attention. Now what do you do? So let's instead of say, okay, you've got their attention. Now what do? You say, okay, what are you going to do when you have their attention? So we're going to think ahead. We're going to assume that there are going to be people there. We're going to get visitors. We're going to get all that kind of stuff. We're going to get the right people at the right time. But now we got to make sure first, let's make sure that we have a message that matters. Now, from a digital point of view, this is actually something I think we don't think about often. Now, if we're a designer, yes, but if we're a developer and even a lot of the entrepreneurs, like the pure entrepreneurs I know, they can be very visionary, but we tend to not think enough about explaining our business, about selling our business, because it's usually we are drinkers of our own Kool-Aid enough that we're like, this is great. Everybody should do this. This is awesome. I mean, you should just send buckets of money to these people because, being yourself, because we do this so well. You may never want that product, but you probably should buy it anyways, just in case. We have that kind of mentality usually. But what we need to do is take a step back and think about, and this goes back to like we've talked about this so many times, it's sort of your why, but it's also what is the problem that you are solving for your customer? One of the interviews I did way back, I think it was an interview, it may have even been with a customer interview that I did, but basically what she had worked on is in talking to her customers, she realized that there was about 5 different essentially questions that her customers needed to answer. That was how they would come to her because they were asking one of these 5 questions. Now, you may have one, you may have 10. If you have 10, you're probably too broad, but there's going to be some number of either questions or problems that is like this is where we niche down a little bit, is that we say, well, this is the problem I want to solve for you. So it may be things like, you're trying to find all of the Pokemons in your area. Okay, cool. This happens to be what our business is. If you're happening instead to want to know what the latest, Doctor Who synopsis was, well, you're not going to different business. Okay. So you don't need it. We don't want to talk to you. But what you do want to do, and this is where the idea of funnels and things like that comes in, is where you start with like a sort of cast a larger web, a larger net, and you try to pull people in and then start the conversation. And so from there, you want to refine the conversation. So it could be things like, and you'll hear this, for example, in the pitch that I give, is one of the keys that I hit on because it is near and dear to my heart, is I'll use the phrase technology sprawl. Because that is something I see with a lot of my customers, that they have this sprawl. They have too much. They just have too much. They'll have 10 different types of technology and they only have 2 people working in it. It's like, okay, if you have more technology environments than you have people, then you have sprawl. Honestly, if you have more than like 1 or 2, you probably have sprawl of some sort. Because even huge companies they have so many people and they can support dozens of technologies, then part of the problem is then they have to integrate them and they have to cross train and they have to do all these things and then yeah, you're sort of betting on everything. So, but that means that some are going to be losers. Yeah, some are going to be winners, but you're going to have losers. And now you have to port or migrate or do something off of those losers at some point. So that's one of the like the wide things that we look at is like, okay, are you tired of having too much technology? There's a lot of people that a lot of companies are in that boat. Now, then we're going to talk, you go a little further into the funnel. There's going to be things like, okay, are you ready to act now? Is there something that you want? Or maybe you have a team, you're already addressing this. And so it's like, all right, we don't, we can help you, but you're probably not an ideal customer because you've already you're going down the road of solving that problem yourself. So yeah, if we talked to you sooner, that'd be great, but we didn't. Oh, well. As you go further into it, it's like, okay, so maybe the time's right. Well, then there's things like the budget. It's like, are you really willing to do this? Because it's going to take some time, it's going to take some work, it's going to take some money. You may not have the staff, so you may have to actually grow, change, adjust your company. That may be something that would be a blocker. But then if you go further into that, it's things like, okay, so now let's talk about where are you at? Are you in a situation where you understand your pain points, or are you somebody that just you hurt, but you don't know where? That's going to be where, that may be a differentiator because we're going to want somebody that's at least got some idea that we can talk to. And we're going to get further and further down that. Now, granted, this like, you're going to look at these things when you cast your wide net and you're going to say, yeah, I can work with these various people. I can help them. I can do things. But what you really want to do is you want to get to like down that funnel and you want to get to the people that are like your core. These are the people that are exactly where they want to be at the exact right time. And this is the people I need to talk to. This is where we're going to give them the most value in the shortest period of time. Those are the customers that you're going to try to get down that funnel. Now, digitally, I know I've just talked about fun stuff like digitally, there's a lot of different ways you can do that, which is really makes this a miraculous kind of a platform for us to work with. For example, there are always the top of the funnel things out there. There's sites all over the place that are, top of the funnel, loss leaders, things like that. And there are a lot of cool things you can do. You can do a book, you can have content of some sort. A lot of people are doing some sort of a ranking or a machine or a suggestion device or something like that and you see this all the time on the social sites where it's like, are you Snoopy or are you Woodstock or are you this or are you that? And so what they do is they have you take a quiz or do a little bit of, provide them some information. And then at the end, if you provide them contact information, they will send you something that says, here's how you scored, or here is your assessment. There's something that we do in ours is we have some like free assessment stuff. Now I've got the cheaper version or to me, the cheaper to build because I just want to I want to actually talk to people. I want to actually spend some time and just get to hear their stories about their business, whether they become a client or not. So right away, we're going to say, hey, we'll give you 30 free minutes of consultation because we would love to talk to you. Maybe useless to us in the long run or not useless, but it may not be as a customer, may never work. Maybe you're in a completely different place, but the conversation is educational to us. And a lot of times we'll make it educational. That's our goal, is to make it educational to whoever is on the other end. So you have a lot of ways you can do this. And the nice thing about the digital stuff is you can like change it left and right. You can have all kinds of different ways to map that to get all kinds of statistics around it and really evaluate what works and what doesn't. And you can take this down to, and some places are very good at this, like color selection, word selection, tone, all fonts. There's like a lot of stuff you can throw into this to figure out how do you really craft and refine your message. And so I think that's the big picture that I wanted to like throw out there. And now I'm going to throw it to Michael and let him sift through some things and let's see where he wants to go with it.
Yeah, thanks, Rob. So for a minute there, I was trying to figure out where funneling came into it, and then you pulled it back.
Sometimes it takes a while to get there. Sometimes it's a long, bumpy ride.
But it's interesting in effect because as you were talking about the funnel, it made me think about a couple things that kind of came up through that co-starter program I went through last year, where yes, we know there are certain things we need, be it a website, be it marketing flyers, things to basically promote the business, tell people who you are. But from a digital sense, those are static. That those are more here, they're out there. You can put an ad in a paper. Those are basically, put it out there and hope people come to you. Now, if you want to be a little more engaging, some of the other interesting techniques I saw, especially through social media, I guess like TikTok, uh, YouTube, these different video uh, media networks like Instagram, is like Rob said, ask, come up with like 5 questions. Well, if you're new to business or if you're just starting out, go out and just stand on a street corner with the phone and say, "Hey, let me ask you a couple questions," and ask their permission. "Hey, do you mind if I post this on my social media?" Some will say no, some might say yes. But that's a very interesting way to say, "Hey, what do you think of this?" And you could almost maybe do like a comedic little post on it, like they do on like oh, what was that show back in the day? Late night show, Jay Leno and David Letterman. They had where they would go out and just talk to people in the street. Do that. Talk to people in the street. If you are just starting out, you may have an idea who your customer is. Sure, you can go talk to them if you can find them. But that's the trick. Who is your customer? Like Rob said, what is your why? But the other important question is, who are you targeting? Like Rob said, are you going after Pokemon people or Doctor Who people? You don't want to really mix the two or go after one or talk to one and not the other. So getting out and talking to people is the first step, but you can do it with social media. So you can use your phone and get instant feedback. Now, the other thing you can do is on these channels, you can actually post questions or gamify it with your followers. Say, "Hey, I've got an idea for this kind of product. What are some of the suggestions you might like in like X? Be it, colors, software, what kind of, what is the biggest uh, problem you're struggling with tax software? It's tax season. What drives you nuts doing your taxes when it comes to technology?" You might get a whole slew of answers, and it's like, "Oh, hey, I got a solution for that." And now you just found a product or another opportunity to promote your company or your product to another customer base. So you need to engage, but you can use social media, you can use digital marketing to do a lot of this. Websites are really good for this, but they are still kind of more static unless you have a full e-commerce site like Amazon. But even then, there's a lot of overhead to maintain something like that. And if you're just starting out, you don't really necessarily have a lot of the time to put into that. So you want to kind of keep it simple and keep your message as niche as possible. Like Rob said, you don't want the 10, you want the one. So what you want to do is start funneling those questions. When you're out talking to people and you get 5 or 6 that are all kind of in this brand or responding in a certain way, but that's not really towards what you're looking for, tweak your question or ask it slightly differently. And even if you have the same person in front of you that answered it one way, ask them again a different way and see if you get a different response. This is a form of A/B testing, and it can work for both software and marketing, where you test two different like web pages, two different marketing styles, two different slogans to see which has more impact on your customer or on the end user. So that's just another way you can kind of branch out through digital marketing. Because with digital, it's cheap. You can just throw up a web page, throw up another web page, have a little toggle that flips between the two. You don't have to spend the money to print out different flyers or run different marketing ads in a magazine or newspaper to try and sell your product. So use the digital, use the web, use technology to expand your business. Really, there's just so much you can do. But the problem is, and I will warn you this up front, you will get overwhelmed if you are new to this. So my suggestion to you, if you're just starting out, pick 1 or 2 technologies, be it Facebook, be it LinkedIn, be it YouTube. Pick a channel, spend a little bit of time with it, and then add another channel. Don't go out and try to do 20 at once because you're going to get overwhelmed and quit.
So two things I want to get into is one is that you can have one of the things that the digital stuff gives you is while you can have evergreen, you can have stuff that you just put it out there and you let it go and let it run. You also have the opportunity to do regular updates. So you can do things where you send an assessment out to people and then you've got their information and maybe a quarter later, a month later, maybe a year later, however it is, you've done some updates. You said, hey, here's an update. We've made some changes, and you can either draw them back to your site or you can provide some sort of hey, here's an addendum or things like that. Maybe it's a book that now you start adding more chapters on, however that goes. So you can build on this as you go. You don't have to have it 100%. You can have, like a book, you could have chapter 1 and then later come back with chapter 2 and chapter 3 and chapter 4 and keep touching the customer in a way that is like, hey, we're still providing you valuable information and hopefully drawing them closer into you and maybe even drawing them down that funnel in a sense. Another thing that you can do is one that I completely forgot right now. So I'm going to try to get back to that. So let's see. So you can do the updates, but the other things you can do, and this is in the keeping it simple, is really there's so much out there. It is like Michael said, it's really easy to be overwhelmed, and you can try something in a channel in sort of a silo. And this is the benefit of, one of many benefits of doing one at a time is you can go in there, you can try to win it basically and make sure that you understand how that community, that uh, method of communication works. And then when you've got a way that you feel you're comfortable with it, then you can expand out. And the bonus is then you can take what you've got in your existing community, your existing channel, and start to bleed them over into a new channel and then hopefully draw people that are only in that second channel. And then you rinse and repeat. So you don't have to do it. You don't have to go 100%. You don't even have to do the 80-20 rule. You can do like 5% in and then just start working that 5%. Because again, we're not talking in the grand scheme of things, we don't need everybody. If everybody was our customer, okay, that would maybe be okay, but it would possibly be completely overwhelming as well. So we want to find a way to sort of grow into this in an organic, in a natural way. And that gets us to the challenge this time around. However you are marketing and branding and talking to customers, finding customers right now, whether it's, you may have hundreds of campaigns or you may have nothing. Your challenge this week is to create one thing. And I would say, like, we'll call it like a flyer. Like maybe it's a page of information. It could be a one pager. It could be a flyer. It could be just a website with like a one page. Whatever it is, it could be in a social site. It could be like, say you've never done Facebook. So now you will create a Facebook page. Or maybe it's just a post within that is about your company or in some way promotes your company. That's your challenge. And just do it. If you've done a bunch of these, pick a new place to do it. If it's something that you've started before, then take what you did, refine it, and then put it back out there. Ideally, start fresh, start from scratch, start from what is my pitch, what is my focus, what is my brand, and build something with what you know. Build something with that, whether it's a flyer, a site, a page, or something like that. If you don't know it, then this is where the challenge is a little more challenging, is to start selecting that, make those choices. Because a lot of times the choice is not, what you choose is not as important as the fact that you chose, that you made a choice. Sometimes just any direction can be is better than no direction at all. Starting off is better than just standing there. That's not always the case, but in this case, like taking those first steps and starting to think through what is your brand? What is it that makes you you? What is your secret sauce? What is your pitch? What is your value proposition? Thinking through that is going to help you quite a bit as you go further into the networking and all the other stuff that is involved in this. One of the things you could do is you can send us an email at info@developernerd.com. That's sort of like one of our little brandy kind of things is like, send us information because we would love to use it to make us and yourselves better, to make this more entertaining, to make it more informative. You can also leave us information out on contact us on form developaneur.com. You can leave us feedback, whether it's the podcast and wherever you get podcasts, whether it's out on the Developaneur channel out there on YouTube. There's a lot of different places we are. Wherever you find us, we would love to get the feedback, positive, negative, whatever it is, whether it's recommendations, whether it's, throwing shade, don't really care because the type, we don't care about it. We just want the feedback because that helps us get better, whether it's positive or negative criticism. It's going to help us build a better product for you. And that's what we're really looking forward to. That being said, I'm hoping you're looking forward to your day and go out there and have yourself a great day, a great week. And we will talk to you next time. Bonus material.
So I was thinking about this a little bit. So with the kind of like A/B testing or like digital marketing, one of the things as you're building your business or you're growing your business, you could already be established. One of the best ways to tell if you're attracting the wrong type of customer is, as Rob said, if everyone was our customer, that might be a great thing, but it might not be a good thing. If you're getting too many bad customers, and I mean bad customers are customers that actually take more time to service than it costs you to make money. So basically, they're costing you money to sell your product to them. Look at your marketing strategy and figure out how you can tweak your communication, tweak your mission, tweak your advertising in a way that may not be as appealing to those type of customers, but more in line with the type of customers that are your happy customers, are your, the customers you want to work with that really enjoy your product or your service.
Bonus, bonus, bonus. So I think that this goes back to the funnels and things like that. Is I think this is a way I have found that thinking about those is various funnels is a great way to take a diverse offering and drill it down into something very niche. So, for example, let's say like the pillars that I talk about on a regular basis: simplification, automation, integration, and now innovation. Those are each funnels of themselves. Is that there are companies out there that are just looking for, there are going to be customers out there, they just want to simplify what they have. So there's the simplification funnel. There is the integration funnel that a lot of companies are like, we've got a lot of crap that we need to make it talk to each other. So that's where that funnel comes in. And let's just take those two. So the simplification discussion is different from the integration discussion. There's different problems, there's different facets. Now, it does all distill into the process that we use of basically we learn your business, we learn our customers' business, and then we find ways to leverage our experience and all of the different ways we've used technology, and then recommend for them, craft that unique approach. So whichever funnel they come in, what we're going to do is we're going to actually bring them down to, this is the proposition that we're going to give you. Is that we're not really, in a sense, we may draw you in through simplification and say, you've got a lot of stuff and we're going to find a way to, simplify what you have. Funny enough, integration is also going to simplify at some point. Even innovation is things where we may say, you got all this stuff, but let's take all these things that you're doing, and instead we're going to build you a custom solution that's going to take the best of breed of all of those. Yeah, it may be a little more expensive, but in the long run, it probably won't. And then you own it, and nobody else has it. So there's a lot of value there. Any of those ways that you get through all come back to the same thing of really getting to know the customer, helping them craft their roadmap for technology. So all those things that are out there, you can think of those as separate funnels, which also means you can take, for example, the 5 questions I talked about during the podcast of the one customer said, well, there's these 5 questions. Each question could be its own little funnel. So you can have, which in a digital world, it's really easy to have a site that is like answerquestion1.com. This is what you want on question2.com, things like that. So you can build these one-offs. And we played around with this for a while with the school.developreneur.com, where we would spin up. That was part of our personal challenge as we were building this stuff, is to build essentially a topic funnel. It all went into the school, but we had all of these little funnels out there. And if you went to the school, you could see all of our stuff and do everything. But we also had these funnels that were trying to direct traffic in based on a specific thing. So don't be afraid to, and this is really in the bonus material, is don't be afraid to like take one of those, spend a little time with it, and then it could stay up. It could still be there. It could still be valuable because it's a honey trap of some sort for some type of customer. But now take it and say, you know what, maybe this could be improved. And now you go create another one. And maybe now you're reaching out to a different set of customers. I know I'm getting a little deep on that. But it's one of those, if you ever, like I said, you can shoot us an email. We can talk about it. We will bring you on the show and interview you if you want, because that would actually be a pretty fun little conversation. What's not so much fun is saying goodbye. Oh, tears. It's too much. It's not really, because we're going to see you again, because this is not goodbye. This is not even farewell. This is until next time. This is go fill your coffee or your adult beverage or whatever it is, and then come back around and you will see our shining faces in no time. However, do go out there, have yourself a great time, have a good day, a good week, a good month, the rest of the year even, and we will talk to you next time. Have a good one, guys.